Welcome to CX in the Wild Season 3. Let's catch up with Dennis on Safari now.
Okay, here we are. Jim, how do I say your last name?
Iyoob.
Iyoob. Jim Iyoob, thank you for letting me come visit you at your home for another episode of CX in the Wild. This is a podcast where, as I get to know people, the audience gets to know them. I know you're a huge name in the customer experience, but contact center, BPO space. And I've come to your house. We just had a little charcuterie, and we're going to sit down and thanks for bearing with me on all my mic problems, but I think the audience will understand this is CX in the Wild. So, Jim, tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Sure. So, Dennis, thank you so much. We're so happy to have you in our home. It's been a pleasure. We love to cook and love to entertain, as you see. So I'm so blessed that you were able to come down. So my name is Jim Iyoob. I am the Chief Customer Officer at Etech Global Services. I've been here for about 22 years. Interesting part is I started as an agent. So I've worked my way up through the organizations. It's pretty much my second job. I've had the same boss for over 30 years. I worked for him at Dun & Bradstreet. His name's Matt Rocco. That's our president. And he gave me my first shot. He was my mentor, helped me develop. And then when he got an opportunity to come to Texas, as you can tell, we're not from Texas with this accent. We're both from the East Coast. And I joined him down here in 2000 with this company and worked my way up. And today I'm blessed to have a bunch of people that are passionate about contact center, a different approach, all focused on the customer experience, which drives growth for all of our customers.
Right. And having an experience of coming up through the industry, we were just talking earlier, I had a similar experience in advertising and marketing, starting at the bottom and working my way up. You've seen a lot. So I think you have a unique perspective that many people that I don't talk to have. What has the transformation been like over the last 30 years, both from the industry, but also from the employee experience?
Sure. So what we found is we find these technologies where people come to you and say, this is going to solve all your problems. And we've always had a firm belief in our value system that people make the difference. And the more and more we looked at technology to enhance agent experience and enhance customer experience, what we found is most of the people building those technologies weren't like you and I, so they don't have the operational experience. They're in a room, and I'm not knocking anybody in IT, but the problem we saw was they don't really understand the role. Like, I tease a lot of people, like, when's the last time a tech guy took a call? When's the last time he took an interaction? Things like that. So what we found is by having this knowledge, and we went out looking for technology, and we really couldn't find something that was going to deliver that experience to the customer that we wanted to, and our agents. So luckily, my boss said, well, I believe in you. Let's build it. So we actually hired some developers and we built it ourselves, and have about 40, 50 customers on it today. And they all say the same thing. Tech guy didn't build this, did he? Because it's so operational focused and agent focused, because of our experience dealing and running operations. And it's just a blessing to see it, if that makes sense. Because it's not all fancy little tech stuff. It's really operational wise.
And what do you mean by that? You know, I think if I'm a listener, I'm curious about, what makes things successful in customer experience, and particularly in the call center space. I'm going to be doing a series during the summer focused entirely on BPO. So I'm curious also about what makes the BPO business run and successful. You're talking about the operations. So are you saying that part of the success of Etech was to go from answering the phones to scaling operations, but you paid strict attention to the software development? Is it that simple?
It's not as simple as that. I think we go back to our president and CEO, Matt Rocco. He built a servant leadership culture, which is all about people.
Yeah.
So when you look to serve others and you let the numbers take care of themselves, that's what did the growth. I mean, the story of Etech, if you're not familiar with it, when I joined the company, there was 400 employees. Today, we have 3,600. We operate in 3 countries. 10 locations, and we grew this business organically. No mergers, no acquisitions, no venture capitalists. I mean, and that story is amazing. And everybody says, like, so how did you do that? Focus on the people. And I think that's what a lot of people do incorrectly in our business, because an agent, as most of we don't even call them agents, we call them team members, number one. Not that the name's making a big difference. What's making the difference is the culture you set for those employees. People want to be part of something bigger. So we give back to our communities. Every community we're in, we're embedded in them. And then treating those people how you want to be treated, right? And treating them with the respect that they deserve, right? I think that makes the big difference. Now, during that, to answer your question on the technology, we didn't see any tech doing anything special. And we said, yeah, you could tell me how many people are frustrated. You could tell me, 80% of your calls are this or that. And what we found was nobody was telling us how to solve the problem. So as a servant-led organization, when you think about that, is if we're going to be honest with each other, coaches got promoted in our business because of growth. They might not have been ready to be a coach. And when you talk to the tech guys, they'll say, well, we're going to tell you all the problems, but the bigger goal is how to fix it. Yeah, but you guys should know how to fix it. They should know, but they don't, because, we grow quickly. So you need to have that human intelligence behind the data to help a coach. Because, I was a frontline leader. Remember, like if my boss came to me and said, you know how to do this? What am I going to say? No, of course not. Right. Absolutely, boss. I got it. Right. And that's the reality of it. So when you know that and you're looking at it with a different lens, sure, now you can actually create the tech and create the output to help the person by telling them who to coach, what to coach, and how to coach without telling them they don't know how to coach.
Okay.
That's what the techs are missing, because they'll tell you all the problems. And I always tease everybody when I say, we have 3,600 employees. If I want to know the problems, I just go send a survey and I'll get hundreds of problems. The holy grail, we believe, is how to fix it. And how do you elegantly coach? We have a dean of leadership development. Her only job at Etech is to coach our coaches, the executive team, all of us. That's how much we embed ourselves in training and developing others.
So to be thoughtful about what we're saying, everyone I talk to, it doesn't even have to be in the call center space. Every leader I talk to has a stance on empowering the people. I see it on TikTok constantly. The millennials, everybody's talking about how important culture is. There are a lot of creators like myself. They're focusing on employee experience. So there's a lot of talk about that. So I get it. It's important. I also think that the technology is an enabler for business. So it sounds like you had a good corporate philosophy and culture. You customized software to align with your business values and operations more tightly. And that produced a catalyst for success. But that's just not enough. There has to be a duration of service, customer lifetime value for your clients and your clients' clients. So it's got to transcend between we're really good to people and we have great technology.
Great. Well, let's tie that back. You're absolutely right. So our bosses, our president and CEO has always told us, don't focus on the P&L. Focus on the people and the P&L will come. And it's proven because we started with 400 employees, one location. Today, operate in 3 countries, 10 sites. We are profitable. We're privately held. And the growth of the business, we went from 1 customer in 2000 to over 100 customers today. And most of our customers some of our customers have been with us since 2000.
So if we can unpack that, because you brought it back to the people and focusing not on the money. And certainly when we focus on value over money, better things happen. And I get that too. But let's unpack in your business as you're looking at investments to particular markets. You had to be looking at some financial indicators or demand, and you're encountering different cultures too, right? As Correct. You're doing that. So it still isn't this one size fits all, be good to people. You're going to have to adapt to particular cultures and particular areas. How did you translate that value of the human element to this wider area?
Yeah, so great question. So the one thing that we believe in value adds, big on value adds. So a lot of BPOs sell you agents and seats.
Yeah.
We can answer your calls. We'll handle this. We'll handle this. We'll take your calls. We'll do this. And we just found that's not really, it's commodity business. It's not really what we're into. So what we said was, well, wait a minute. We have speech to text. We have our own tech plays that makes our agents better. It gets voice of customer analytics out so you can give your customers information on what they're saying about you, your brand, all these things. So when you hire Etech as a BPO, all that data and analytics, it's so transparent. Not only do we give it to the ops people to help run the business and make it successful, we're transparent. Nobody should offer you perfection with an agent. I mean, Etech can't. But what we can offer is that transparency. So we'll show you the data. We'll show you that agents are getting better and show that plan. And on top of that, we'll give the customer all this data inclusive. So they don't have to go out now and buy another tech stack to know what my voice of customer sentiment is. What are my surveys saying? What is this saying? So because we listen and we analyze 100% of the interactions, that's a lot of data. So when you're able to give that to that customer, so I'll give you an example. One of our customers in the travel industry, he has 6 BPOs and he came to us and says, I have a problem. So what's the problem? He's like, I really don't know where everybody's at because they're listening to 3 calls per agent per month, per week, whatever. So you're listening to a handful of calls. So we analyzed 135,000 phone calls for him. And what we saw was across the 6 contact centers, 3 of them were doing really well. 3 of them were really dragging him down. But because they look at the overall data, they're average. So when we peeled the onion back, we said, listen, let's focus on these 2 behaviors on these 6 contact centers. And we said, here's what you can do. And here's how you fix it. Did the same concept. Well, we spoon fed him the data to give to the contact centers. 5 of the 6 got better. As a matter of fact, in 90 days, it was $500,000 in incremental revenue for him. The one vendor, the one call center wasn't getting any better, which we trended it out and showed him. And then he says, why don't you just take my calls? So we actually picked up that account. And as of today, we are number 1, number 2 vendor for the last 18 months. And the only one we lose is to his internal call center. So we know the data works and we know that it's profitable and it knows that it makes a big difference.
So you're smart about the business and you teach, coach, guide your clients as well.
Correct.
And I think that is a little bit different than plugging in a platform, which
Agreed.
I know some solutions do that to scale quickly or to drive costs. Not everybody has a fair play, but I like that you're human-centric, high touch. But enough about selling the business of Etech. Let's talk about your expertise to the market. Here's what I know. I have a couple other contacts in the BPO space. I don't know if you're familiar with Arena CX. So that the CEO there is another guy. I really like him. I like what he's doing in terms of trying to create some additional visibility across the industry and some clarity. But, he was sharing with me that things are changing right now. There's a lot of change. Obviously, COVID changed the game. Huge uptick in customer care demand during COVID. Now that it's off, or it's waning, it seems like, in my opinion, it would seem like customer care would continue to grow. But what are you seeing in the landscape? Like in 2022 and 2023, what did you see and what do you predict?
So I think what I'm seeing from everything in the industry that people are trying to save money, because if you look at the economy, everybody's afraid. A lot of people are afraid to outsource. And then there are people who have it in house. I just talked to a guy last week. He's paying $45 an hour for his internal reps. He can't afford to do that anymore and still deliver that experience to the customer, not at that cost. So he's going to be outsourcing soon. I'm seeing a lot more people go nearshore because onshore prices are just getting higher and higher and higher. So we're seeing nearshore, offshore people going there. I think the other thing is in the old days when there was so much money fluid people just said, go get me a BPO. And typically the best sales guy would usually win those deals. And what I'm seeing now is they're actually digging in farther to find out who's behind it and who's running it and what are the success stories that you have. And by the way, can I talk to your customers? Well, I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I'm going to jump in here because this is why I liked talking to you earlier this year, because you said, come in, meet our people, talk to our agents. You're transparent. You are willing to tell that story. And I'm going to follow up on that with you, because that's the thing I suspect. Sales has been a shallow game, especially during the uptick. And I think that big brands want to know who they can trust, or at least see more of the story for authenticity litmus test, if you will, a little due diligence. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to talk to your other people during my BPO series, and I'm going to talk to some of your agents. And, that's just something I want to do just for the community, because it's more than just a platform or just a sales call. It's a whole part of your business and their business, and I think it's important to tell a deeper story on that.
Yeah, so Etech runs, and we've learned this as well. We believe in trusted advisor relationships, right? A trusted advisor has to earn the right to give the customer ideas and suggestions. You can't just go out there and tell them, we can do this, we can do this, we can do it. You have to understand what their goals are. And when you understand what their goals are and earn the right by performance and by having great agents, showing up, by the way, which is a big opportunity, as Bo would tell you over at Arena CX, like the biggest opportunity is it appears some people don't want to come to work. Okay. And when you build a culture of an environment that people want to come to work, it helps you. And then when you do that, it enables you to go to a customer and say, hey, I see your process that you told us it should be this way. Have you thought about doing it this way? Because our agent said we can save 30 seconds on each call by changing these screens, as an example, and moving some stuff around. That's a trusted advisor. And I think that's what people are looking for. I know so many people in the tech. It's so funny, just an off-track record on the story of technology. I have a friend of mine who called me up and says, I got the best tech in the world. You got to see it, blah, blah, blah. So we vetted it out. It was okay. Long story short, we didn't buy it. 3 weeks later, or 3 months later, he's at a new company. Oh, you got to see this one. It's the best. I said, but you just left that other company you told me was the best. Yeah, but this one really is the best. This person I know in the industry has been at 4 different technology companies, and all 4 he called me, and all 4 were the best. That's what's happened to our industry, because there is no trust anymore.
That's exactly why I'm trying to get real stories instead of just. On my side of the house, I'm convinced. I just know in 2023, now that AI is taking such a stance in the whole content creation community, people who go out and get the real stories from the real people like you and get underneath it, that's going to be where people have to get their information, because regenerated content and curated content aren't enough anymore.
It's not. And content is king, and that's what it used to be. And if you think about AI, we've been in the AI space for 5-6 years now. And what people don't understand, because these salespeople are much smarter than me, they're much more polished than me, and they go out and sell this story that it's going to solve all your problems. And what I tell people is AI is not Ron Popeil's rotisserie. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's not set it and forget it. What the sales guys forget to tell you is it's a machine. Machine learning is learning from a human being. So if you don't have a data scientist or a data engineer behind the machine, it's not going to solve your problems. And that's the one thing I think that we've done better, because we explain that up front. Hey, this thing's great. How does this work? Well, let me explain how it works. It's code and it learns, but there's a person behind it. Is that person needed forever? No. 3, 4, 5 months, right? And then it weans off a little bit, but it's a machine. It only knows what you teach it. And you have to teach the machine to get you the insights. And a lot of people forget that. And it's funny because when I was talking to these tech guys who were trying to sell us on this, they're saying, well, you must have a bunch of people. What do you think? We have a closet of people not working? Well, just give it to one of your IT guys. They have a full-time job. Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't get. It takes human beings Now, it doesn't mean like you can remove, like the one thing everybody told me was this AI and speech to text was going to remove all my QA. That's the biggest lie in the industry. Now, did I drop my QAs? I dropped my people QAs manually, yes. Converted those people to data scientists, data analysts, and data engineers. So actually career progression is the other thing I see in 2023. Yeah. If you look at Amazon, I'm familiar, you shopped at Amazon.
Yeah.
So Amazon has a recommendations engine.
Yep.
There is over 1,200 people behind that recommendations engine. That's how good it is. And there's 400 jobs available at Amazon at all times for those data scientists and data engineers. I think that's going to be what you're going to see in 2023. Not that the call center agents are going away. You're going to definitely reduce, but you're going to see more opportunities to get higher skilled labor and teach them. Luckily for me, we taught our people. So I already had them, and we actually taught them how to do the work.
So I think that's right. I think we're going to see a transformation of jobs. You know, I saw this in the automotive sector where mechanics, many of them lost their jobs with the new kinds of engines, the electronics, but a whole new wave of technicians showed up. So I think we'll continue to see the skilled labor change there. What do you think is the most important aspect of? Let me back it up. Here's the question I have. A brand has to serve customers, okay? And customer care departments or that function is critical to a business's lifetime value with customers. But I see so many businesses cutting back there. And frankly, if I'm being honest, I see a lot of businesses cutting back there where they were really shallow to begin with. Like, here's the question I'm getting at. Do you think there's any business in the world that has an adequate customer care department?
No. And I think what you're seeing, and by the way, it's all over the news. Look at the airline company that just shut down their call center.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about that, I've said this in my career for 20 years. As a consumer, I'll put myself in, it's not your decision to tell me how to contact you. If I'm buying a good or service from you, it's my decision. So you need to give me chat. You need to give me email. You need to give me phone. You need to give me any way I want to get with you. These companies that are cutting expenses are hearing these people telling them, hey, we can give you agent assist and chatbots, and you won't need any people. But you still have people who want to speak to a person. It's not fair, and they're going to lose market share because at the end of the day, I have left companies who I could not contact in my preferred choice.
Can I just say, if I was if I could send a letter to Mark Zuckerberg, and I would say, don't listen to the haters on the internet about Meta. Don't listen to all the people saying that you were chasing this other thing and it was the cause of your challenges. I would say, Mark, you should have had somebody answering the phone over there at Facebook. If you'd have just had some people answering the phone, this would have been such a different experience for you.
So I'm going to, tomorrow in my workshop that hopefully you're going to be able to attend, you're going to see my Facebook story. So I will give you, there's an AI story for you. So they use AI to monitor all their content. I posted a meme of a picture of a little boy sticking a knife in the socket, which was a joke about wisdom, right? Like it takes years to get wisdom. It was blocked from Facebook. They said, we took this because it spews hate and violence. Because it was a boy with a knife. Now, I know it's a machine, so of course I appealed it. They came back within 2 minutes, says, nope, we disagree with your decision. Your appeal is not that we suspended your account. So they put me in Facebook jail. Yeah. When I was out of Facebook jail, I posted a picture of a bird with a knife. That one went through because obviously a bird can't kill. That's how insane this non-human intelligence is.
I'm going to go one further. At Facebook, just since we're going to say this, I have appealed my Facebook. I've been banned from posting in groups. I have a neighborhood dads group. We make jokes. I try, because I'm in social media, I try to keep it clean. Correct. Everywhere. I try to play it safe. I always fall to the side of not saying anything over the line. And somehow I got banned permanently from posting to Facebook groups, and I've appealed it. And not only that, this happened at the same time that something wacky went with my account. So there was some sort of glitch in the matrix that made it so I can't view my profile anyway, and I can't post. And so I can read and I can comment, but I can't post. And I've appealed this. I must send in a Facebook complaint once every week, just as habit of like, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm on the internet. I dedicated 10 years of my life to posting my family content. Not a peep.
It's because there's no human beings behind it. It's all bots, and that's where I go back to what we talked about earlier. Those machines are as only smart as the person who programmed them. So
not to make this a Facebook rant, but this is about customer care. So here's my point, which is, if somebody answered the phone there, then I would be happy. But here's the real evil of it. Who cares? If I was a big paying advertiser, they have a hotline.
Absolutely.
They answer the phone. But again, it's this pay to play system that is, it's a gaslighting of the customer experience industry when we tell leaders, CEOs, who really are the executive decision maker around the relationship with the customer, when we tell them that you don't need people to talk to other people. Not saying you need it for everything, but...
Agreed. No, we're aligned. I don't say you need it for everything, but I go back to it's not your choice to tell me how to contact you. It's mine. If you want my business, you should let me contact you in the channel I prefer. Not what you're pushing down to me.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're right. It's not everybody. Not everybody wants the phone. So to your point, you probably wouldn't need as many phone agents, but you still need some.
Yeah. Yes. Or somebody to answer the chat.
Yeah. Or answer the chat. Well, some of the hospitality ones are going crazy. I mean, I don't know if I travel a lot like you, but man, some of those chats, like I've gone into chats in some of these high-end hotels. Your wait time is 32 minutes. What, are you kidding me? They're on a chat. The whole reason you have chat is because you could handle multiple ones.
On the other hand, I have been to some of these hotels where the robot delivers your food.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So there's good applications of technology. So the customer care industry, but in all seriousness, the listeners, what do we need to keep our eyes open for the industry? What are you seeing? You're right here on the front lines as an executive business person.
What I'm seeing is these brands are cutting quality, right? Because it's a cost. They think of it as a cost center. However, some of the brands are getting it because there's a lot of companies talking to us that they see the difference of the value. Nobody's figured out how to put an ROI on customer service. We put an ROI in sales all day long. On customer service, it's harder because since they've never done it this way, it's hard to tell them the lifetime value of the customer. Well, how much does it cost you when you lose a customer? Let's just say it's $2,000. Well, it's hard to dissect how much you got to invest to save that $2,000. That's some of the things I'm hearing.
It's the old traditional problem of I'm in the subscription economy, which we're all in. Everybody is trying to align with the finite set of resources and brands. This idea of putting all this investment in customer acquisition instead of customer retention is just insanity. Nuts. It doesn't make a bit of sense.
So one of our clients is big is a subscription service. And he came to us and says, hey, can you help us a little bit? So what are you trying to figure out? He's like, I'm losing a lot of people. So we went in and analyzed for him. We found out, believe it or not, when people were calling to cancel, the agent was just saying, I'd be happy to cancel that for you. Not even trying to save it. And when we showed him this at volume, all they did was we showed the agents what they had to do. And basically we showed him it's about $1 million a month because it was education. Because they bought something, they weren't really sure all the benefits they got from it. And when the agent said, hey, can you sure, I'm happy to cancel this for you, but let me ask you, what's the main things? And they'd say a few things. And when the agent tells them all of the benefits they got, then they were retaining them. So that education piece was missing.
It's just about communication.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, that wasn't on a chat. That was a real person on a phone call too, which makes a difference.
Right. So what do you think about the global BPO market? What's your perspective? I'll tell you mine just so you can help. I'm learning as I talk to you. I know that I've been to Africa a couple times. That's a big market. Yep. I just spoke to a new BPO operation in Guyana. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to get the near shore action happening. And I know Philippines and India have been a big thing. What is your take on all of? Is there a better place in the world? Is there a place for everyone in the world to be in customer care? How does that look to you?
So I think there is a place everywhere in the world. I think if you look at Africa, Etech looked at Africa like 10 years ago. The reason Africa wasn't really good back then was the bandwidth. The technology, you didn't have it. Now you have it, right? So I think those developing countries are going to do it. We're seeing people looking at China right now, which, we're not, but I've seen that. I think it's the skill set of the person. So I don't want to talk bad about the Philippines, but Philippines are really good at customer care, black and white. Yes, no, scripted, very good at that. Tech support, they're really good at because it's process. But as a customer experience, because I can tell you I have Sirius XM, and that's in the Philippines. Because I can tell when I talk to the call center reps, they're not thought leaders. Like it's literally all processes.
Now, but you just said that's a training issue.
It is it's a training issue, and is it a culture issue? So I don't know if that person could, because I don't live there. I don't know. I've never been there. But I look at like India. India, you could train them in just about anything. They're geniuses. Like 85% of our workforce in India has got college graduates, right? So they're thought leaders. They think differently. Their accent's worse. They don't speak as good of English as the Philippines, but technically savvy, geniuses, right? Fixing problems, geniuses. Offering solutions, geniuses. I just haven't had that experience when I hit a Philippines call center.
But you don't have an operation out there. So
we don't. So I'm just talking like my consumer brand.
Yeah.
But I do believe nearshore. I think offshore was very attractive in the past because of price. Right. So offshore was great because you're saving 40%, right, of your US rate. So it's great. But it's also 30 hours to get there on a plane. So it's not the easiest to travel.
And the prices are going up around the world.
Prices are definitely going up all around the world. We're seeing that everywhere. I mean, we always tease our India guys. They're going to put us out of business because they expect raises every year. They expect a lot of money every year. And eventually,
everyone does.
Of course, agreed. But eventually it's going to be to the point where their prices are going to be so high, cost of living over there, that it's going to be just the same price to go to Jamaica, which is 3-hour flight, as an example.
Tell me about, I recently did a story on a group that has a language modifier so that when the call center agent, let's say they're in India and they have a thick accent, when they speak to the other person on the line, it makes them sound like they're American.
Yeah. So that we actually test that technology. We've had it for about a year. The company we use is called Sanus.
Yep. That's the company I was working with.
Yeah. Sanus is great. So this is why it's so cool. We're probably going to be better than most. And not being egotistical, but the reason being is that is nothing but a machine. If you think about how that works.
Yeah. I tested it. I did it.
Yeah. So it's literally doing speech to text in real time. And that robot machine sounding person is just, all you're doing is transcribing it in real time and popping it out. So it definitely works. Like our tech people have it. It has some anomalies in it. Like the Indian names do not translate well. Like I can tell you that.
But the machine will learn fast.
The machine learns fast, and the whole key is just giving it more data. And I do know that they're coming out with a new approach, or a new new feature set, which can have different voices, because it definitely sounds a little robotic.
A little bit, yeah.
Yep, just a little bit.
But AI is getting real good at voices. I just saw a whole new generation pop out this week of voices.
Yep.
So it's getting better.
But we love that. We love that technology, and that's the future. And to answer your question, that's where I think you'll see the global BPO. Because if you can just imagine if you can get labor in a third world country, and you have the tech and you have the bandwidth and you have everything, and their English isn't great, it's just, very heavy accent, and drop Sanus on top of it. Be a game changer.
Or have it go from one language translated to the agent, and the agent suddenly be able to respond in all the languages. I mean, there's going to be some transformation there. All right. Well, I appreciate if there's what's some advice you would give to the listeners if they're concerned about having the best customer care asset to their business. What's your advice to them? So
what I would say is look at a lot of companies. And I would look at the leadership of the companies. And if you're looking for the customer care, don't sit in a boardroom and think it's your decision how your customers contact you. It's theirs. And the biggest piece of advice I'd probably give anybody that's looking at customer care, don't look at it from just technology. Look at it from the entire solution. Because technology, as you said in the beginning, it's an enabler. Okay? It's the people behind the technology, right, that are really going to make the difference for that experience, which in turn would give you ROI.
Would you say the key indicator, if I was a CEO and I just said, show me the actual transparent tenure of your agents, is that a good indicator?
That's one good indicator. I mean, I could tell you right now, we have some agents that have been here like 20 years. I'll tell you, Patrick Reynolds is one of our
VPs. You've been here for 20 years.
Yeah. So Patrick Reynolds is our VP, started as an agent. He was an agent for me in 2000 when I joined the company. Laminta Fowler, she was an agent. She's a director. Chandra Tobias, she's my VP. You'll meet her tomorrow. She was an agent.
There's no better testament to the truth of the success in an industry than a business that has a specialty where the people who start in the organization can rise to the top and they've been there the whole time. I think you're a testament to that.
Thank you.
And one of the things I'll just say for my listeners, just to be 100% clear, we've talked a lot about your value as your organization, but this is an unsponsored podcast. We're just talking about this as two guys sitting at your dinner table. So
eating sushi.
Yeah, eating sushi. So I appreciate that. Where can people find you if they want, where can they reach out to you to learn more about how to do call centers right, BPO?
So
right?
Great question. You could visit our website. We have a ton of content. My president and myself wrote 3 books on contact centers. They're free. They're on our website, www.etechgs.com. I also put out a monthly subscription and content on my LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jim Iyoob, Iyoob. There's not a lot of Iyoobs out there. Easy to find. I connect with mostly everybody. Just send me a note and I'm happy to connect, and you get that content for free. Last but not least, when you're out there, grab a mentor, because the mentors are going to help you make decisions without, you get a mentor as a transparent partner to help you as through these visions go. And, the mentorship really works.
But I'll unpack that, because if I'm my listener, I'm like, wait a sec, what was that? The twist with the mentor. Talk about that.
So I tell everybody, a lot of people in the BPO space will come to me and they'll say, man, I heard so much stuff about Etech and you and your bosses. How did you get this? You know how I got it? Because the guy, Matt Rocco, took notice in me when I was a young kid. I was a nobody out of college and he invested in me to mentor me and help me learn the business.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when someone teaches you, it's all about self-learning. It's not like I'm in classrooms with this guy. He's giving me directional stuff, and then I learn on my own. And a mentor is the most valuable asset you can ever have. I have about 10 mentors in my organization, not my organization, in my network. And those people mentor you. It's always good to have someone you could run an idea by. Hey, is this a good idea to look at? I want to sell this to my boss. I like this. And that's what a mentor does, because they have no hidden agenda other than to help you.
I thought that's what you meant, but I thought maybe there was a special program. I agree with you. Cheryl China has been one of my mentors who
Kelsey and I had dinner with Cheryl last night.
Yes. So Cheryl is just like, to me, this person who's giving of her knowledge and her grace in the industry. And I've always appreciated that.
Absolutely.
And I agree with you. Okay. So transparently look at the tenure of the call center staff, get a mentor, get your books at your website. Jim, thanks for letting me come over to your house and do CX in the Wild.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
Thanks for coming on this adventure. To catch up with Dennis for CX news and industry events, visit www.denniswakabayashi.com.